Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wowza Webinars. My name is Justin Miller, and we are going to talk to you about our Wowza Professional Services. With me is Barry Owen, our VP of Solutions, and Andrew Kennedy, the Principal Solutions Architect. Barry, Andy, Andrew, why did I say that? How are you doing today, guys?
I'm doing well, Justin. Thanks.
I'm a little off today for everyone who's listening. We have a lot of construction going on the floor below me, and so if you do hear pounding, I do apologize. They seem to have stopped right now, so I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it's going to stay that way. So for those people who are joining us, here is the agenda today. We are first going to talk about just the customer benefits of using our professional services. We're going to go into a basic overview of what those services are, as well as some of our prepackaged services that we offer. Finally, we'll talk about some custom options that you could do if prepackaged is not your way, and then we'll be answering questions at the end. Now, you're welcome to put questions into the Q&A window at any given time, but again, we're going to hit those questions at the end of the webinar. And just to make sure that Q&A is working for you, please go ahead and open your Q&A window and type in where you're from. That way we know everything is working properly. We don't really answer questions through the webinar chat window, it's specifically through the Q&A window. So please go ahead and do that. And while we are, just before we begin here and while people are typing in, I'm also going to pop up a poll. We have a poll of 4 questions for you, and I'm just going to launch it right now so you can see. And that poll is, are you currently streaming live video? Do you currently use Wowza? So we know basically what product you may be using with us at this time. And what industry you're in, as well as are you currently working on any projects where you're actually needing professional services right now. So I'm just going to leave that poll up while I just check the Q&A window. And hello to those in London, Oregon, Argentina, Utah, a couple people in Utah, the UK, Africa, Germany, Seattle, San Francisco. All right, we got people from everywhere, even Nigeria here. All right, and I'm just going to close the poll in about 15 more seconds, but for those people who have answered the poll, I definitely appreciate it. We always like to know, a little more specifics about the people who are attending this webinar. So hopefully, if there is a way we can help you in the future, definitely we'll know that and we'll contact you about those specific needs. All right, so I'm going to end the poll now. And if anybody's interested, I'll share the results here. We're just asking if you're currently streaming, and I see most of you are. You're also, most of you are using Engine, are live event producers, and are just researching options here. So definitely this is a great place to begin, everyone. Glad you could join us. And I think I'm going to jump right into customer benefits here. Barry?
Thanks, Justin. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So, the Wowza Professional Services is a relatively new thing we've begun here. And the idea being behind it is to really help people, accelerate their time to market, get from that 0 to 1 with the streaming implementations faster than they could before. We want to position you to be in the best place for success as you grow, as you scale, and provide you with whatever we can to, get you the best opportunity to succeed and be successful in the future. So we can do a variety of things, which we're going to go through here today. We can do very simple configuration installation things for you. We can provide you with basic training on the way to very extensive training. We can review architecture, and all of this leads towards what makes you successful. One of the things we really try to do with professional services is understand what you're trying to do. It's important for us to understand what the customers are after, and that way we can tailor a solution that truly meets your needs and makes you successful. Excuse me. here's the overview of some of the larger categories if we were to throw things in buckets of what professional services here at Wowza can offer. So some of the shorter term engagements we'll have and things to just get folks up and running is, what we call quick start education and training. So we'll come in and we'll help you get everything installed. We'll help you get everything configured. We'll make sure that the end-to-end workflow is working and looking good. And also we'll train you and tell you exactly what we did and how you can do it in the future. But we can also just give you basic training on whether that's on streaming concepts in general, or if you already know the streaming concepts, more advanced things with streaming, getting into things like security and how to apply DRM, advanced configurations of origin edge and load balancing. So it really runs the gamut, and it truly is tailored towards what you're after. Obviously, some of the things Wowza targets a lot of developers. So how can we help you as a developer either integrate streaming engine or cloud into your offering, leveraging the APIs available, but also being able to develop and implement custom modules that support very specific needs. We have a library of modules that we've worked on over the years. We're also able to create things from scratch based on something that's very specific to what you need. And those run the gamut. And these engagements can literally be from a day to weeks, depending on what you're after. And as we get into these longer engagements, we kind of turn into, hey, what's a custom implementation? Maybe you're looking to do something very complex. Maybe you're doing some highly reliable redundancy workflows. Maybe you're looking at low latency. Maybe you're looking at massively scalable systems you're going to roll out to your customers. We can help you scope those, and we can not only help your team build them, but we can pull in best of breed partners where necessary to build out complete solutions. All right, so now the next step we'll talk about, obviously, as I've said, we kind of range the gamut here from very simple half-day, one-day engagements to, all the way up to multi-week, potentially month engagements. So at the low end, we have these prepackaged solutions, right? So some of the things we'll do, and we'll go through these in a little more detail and give you some examples of some use cases and some success stories we've had in the past. So, basic solution implementation. This is where we're going to come in and help you get things installed, help you get configured, maybe get your encoders or your cameras hooked up properly, and then do whatever documentation we need to help you manage that service you've created. Training, we're going to have Andrew talk a bit about training. It's one of his specialties. He has created loads and loads of content from very basic, how do the bits get from there to there on the network, all the way up to extremely complicated high-end streaming solutions. And it really gives your team a solid foundation for not only understanding how streaming works, but how you would build a platform or integrate streaming in with your existing platform to really be in the best place possible for your business. And then oftentimes what we'll have is we'll have people who have been on our systems for a while. They've maybe used cloud, they maybe use engine, they've done prototyping, they've done some pre-development work. Maybe they've even launched a service and they're starting to become successful. They ask us, it's like, hey, can you take a look at what we've done and make sure it makes sense? Are we in the best position we can be to move forward? Are there things we hadn't thought about that are going to bite us later as we try to scale? Did we build something that's going to cost a lot of money to maintain or scale versus, maybe doing something some other way? So at that point, we'll come in and do an architecture review and come up back with a list of recommendations on things you might be able to do. And we can certainly help you with the implementations. We can train you on the implementations, or you can go off and do it yourself and follow up as you wish. So very flexible. These are kind of the tip of the iceberg of what we offer here. So some of the things, spoken to most of these as well, just through the talk track. But these are kind of some of the things we'll do with an implementation. get the software installed, get it configured, um, get the encoders connected, the video sources, making sure that the streams are being distributed to where you need to, whether that be to a CDN or via cloud, it's built in. And with the Clearcaster is it set up? Do you want custom templates to various encoding profiles, maybe going various places, testing everything, leaving you always with a working solution that's documented, that you understand what we did, that understand how it works, and you're ready to move forward. This is an example of a solutions implementations, although I will say in this particular one, it's a little more in depth than maybe a one-day engagement. Child Health Imprints is a company that is building a medical device to improve the quality of healthcare in underserved areas, in particular, as far as being able to observe infants in the NICU, provide telemetry and video back to doctors wherever they may be, to leverage kind of a broader pool of available doctors into underserved areas. So they needed help on a lot of ways, right? They had a system, kind of a prototype set up. They were not happy at all with the latency. They weren't happy with the encoding quality and the cost effectiveness of what they built. So we were able to come in there and we were able to help them select the right hardware for this prototype device, which is going to become a embedded medical device that basically is a camera. It has telemetry, and it streams into Streaming Engine, where they can then take that and distribute it to wherever they need to. We've done a combination of things using SRT and WebRTC to drive the latency down, deliver a high quality stream over large areas, and really help them not only conceptualize what they're trying to do, but give them solid advice on architecture, on the streaming components for sure with Wowza Streaming Engine, but also with how to optimize the encoding, how to actually build a cost-effective, simple device for what they're trying to do, and really truly build an entire solution for them, not just say, okay, yeah, just you figure that part out and we'll help you set up Streaming Engine. We looked at holistically what they were trying to accomplish, and we helped them build that solution.
Yeah, I think that was, I met them a couple weeks ago, the CEO, and it was really interesting to me because they wanted to do it on their own initially, or they had people working on it, but they couldn't solve some of these issues like the sub 3 seconds or the quality that they were getting. And I think at the end of the day, they really would rather work with a company like us that knows what we're doing, as opposed to go find the engineers to try to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, it's not their wheelhouse. I mean, their core competency isn't streaming. Their core competency is how to improve healthcare within the NICU, which is, they've got other things on their mind and bigger fish to fry, if you will. And this is just a way that they can really accomplish that goal.
Exactly. They want to focus on what they're good at.
Andrew, I'll let you take this one.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Kennedy. So as part of our kind of professional services, and we provide a whole gamut of training. We can do the basic training topics, as we can see here, and we can take what you need, how you need it, and deliver it in a way that is then you can use ongoing. And we cover both from Streaming Engine, Cloud, Clearcaster, and we can go from a high level, could be an operational part of kind of logging and operational functions, all the way down to code level, and doing modules and implementations and integrations. As I said, these are some basic topics, but really we take what you need, we figure out how to build a training program. And we've done it many times. One of the examples we've got here, we're working with a company called Granicus, and they had a whole range of challenges relating to knowledge across their organization relating to streaming. And we identified a whole bunch of issues that they were kind of coming up against. Their teams had changed quite a lot and continue to change. As with all organizations, people come in and out of operational teams, development teams, and so on. And we identified how we could help them and how they could better understand how to use our products and how we could build a training program for them to actually provide better knowledge into their teams and also allow their teams to grow with that knowledge as they implemented more Wowza products. Again, anybody who would like a training program, we can look at what you need, how you need it, and come up with a strategy for you.
One of the other things, we'll tag team this one.
Sure.
One of the things we offer is, as I mentioned before, is the architectural review. And this is typically where, you've either deployed Engineer Cloud in development environments, you're have a proof of concept up and running, or you maybe have launched a service that is, at an inflection point. You're about to scale. You're concerned that, your service is going to become a success failure for you, and you want to mitigate that. You can engage us to really go through what you've built, help you understand where any issues you might encounter with scale or customization or management of the platform, monitoring and things like that. And this has proven really valuable for us. And these engagements could be anywhere from, half a day to multiple days as we review your architecture and really get a feel for where you are and make some solid suggestions on where you should go from there. So we're going to use Granicus again for this example. Granicus is a longtime Wowza customer. They have a large legacy platform that they are, to be honest, struggling with a bit. They've had a lot of turnover internally. Andrew's training previously helped them a ton, but they're also looking to completely revamp and move forward with a large scale, what they'll call a version 2 deployment. So some of the challenges we've seen with them is kind of an inconsistent deployment and configuration model as new customers are added. They have a lot of handwork they have to do on the customer site to kind of roll them out. They have some custom code laced throughout their infrastructure that's, while it works, was probably not the best designed at the time. And a lot of the people who wrote that code are no longer around. As I mentioned, all of these kind of rolled together to impact the reliability and the scalability of the platform. So we've gone through, in particular, a lot of Andrew's time has gone through walking through their custom code, cleaning things up, showing them how to troubleshoot, showing them how to debug, suggesting alternative ways to do things. In particular, they've struggled a bit with how they're handling closed caption support, and we've come up with a variety of things that we think are probably better long-term options. Clearly cleaning up their deployment and the kind of their deployment pipeline for engines, particularly as new people roll on or as they have to scale. And then recently we've been spending a lot of time working with them on their next generation architecture, which really replaces the remote encoding platform with a remote encoding platform based on Clearcasters. And the Clearcasters are great for Granicus because they really allow them to easily, they can send a Clearcaster out to a customer. They can say, please just plug in the camera. We'll completely control everything. We can do everything from here. We don't have to get you on with tech support, spending hours configuring an encoder. So in this case, leveraging Clearcaster as part of their greater infrastructure and having that centralized control they have, and it saves them thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars ultimately in support costs, particularly when they launch new customers or when customers are having issues in the field. They have far more visibility into the entire workflow and can isolate problems and make sure ultimately that their customers are successful. Any thoughts on that, Andrew?
No, it kind of covers all the areas. I think one of the things that Granicus did struggle with and will continue to, just simply because of their older architecture, is actually understanding and we're kind of going through this with them right now, is how they should be encoding video, how they should be encoding and troubleshooting and so on. I know you mentioned it, but they really did struggle with that up front. And again, if you don't know streaming or video that well, it can be difficult. So we went through that, and that's really brought them out of a lot of the problems they had, just from talking to their customers and making sure things are working. And so architecture review, of course, is certainly, how we can move things around the network, but it's also understanding how it moves around the network as well. And so we can certainly do that as well with anybody else.
And I'm going to jump over here to custom solutions, but I'm also going to pop up a poll for those who are interested in any of the three that we just talked about. So if you are, we definitely like to know that here, and I'm just going to leave the poll while we talk about these custom solutions.
Cool. So the three things we just talked about are kind of our bread and butter. Those are the things we do day in and day out. Obviously, we did demonstrate there's various levels of complexity there, and the engagements may be of varying lengths. But we also offer completely custom things. If you've got an idea that you want to build that includes streaming, talk to us about it. We'll figure out how to get it done. And we're not, where there are gaps in the Wowza solution, we'll bring in partners to fill those gaps. We have lots of preferred vendors we can use. So whatever it needs, whether it's deep dive into an existing problem where you're just struggling with something and you can't, you're having a hard time getting a satisfactory solution, we can certainly go in there. We can help you debug it. We can figure it out. We get people coming to us all the time who want to build some sort of a OTT platform, or they have a bunch of content. They want to build a linear channels and linear channels of streaming and be able to monetize those. Come talk to us about that. We're putting together workflows and implementations for these people. And the great part about this is Wowza Professional Services doesn't work in a vacuum. We work with our engineering teams. We work with our product teams. The ideas you guys have and the solutions you're trying to build greatly influence where our product's going to go in the future. So when we go build these custom things for people, we always have an eye on how can we roll these back into the products so that can benefit everybody in the future. And those include things like live to VOD workflows, asset management, how to better monetize with ad insertion and integrate into ad providers. So we always have our eye on how we can take what people are asking and not only solve their solution now, but put them in the best solution to future-proof them. So, one of the custom solutions we worked with recently is a company called Dote. And what Dote does is influencer shopping, if you will. So we help them to build a mobile app that allowed them to have a person streaming, have a shopping screen streaming, and have a bunch of interactive content come in at the same time. And when Dote came to us, they had been leveraging the GoCoder SDK. They were using things like Replay Kit, and they used PubDump for message transfer. They were having a really tough time getting things to work and come together with any sort of performance. They really wanted this to be low latency. They wanted to be interactive. They wanted the person shopping to be able to say, hey, look, what do you girls think of these shoes? And then the comments come flying in. And ultimately, what they do is these influencers will point at something and they'll say, hey, these are great. Look at these. Oh, and by the way, if you want to go buy these now, jump on. It's 30% off. So it's an interesting workflow, social shopping. A lot of moving parts there, as you might imagine. There's metadata, there's streaming, there's streaming the screen, there's streaming the broadcast, multiple streams at once going in and out of a phone. And we were really able to work with them hand in hand, give them solid architectural advice on things they may or may not have been doing right on the streaming side as well within the mobile side. And ultimately, we got them out the door on time with a product that is very compelling. And they were just recently, I think in the last couple of weeks, able to raise a considerable amount of money to move it forward. All right, last but not least, hopefully we've managed to pique your interest in some of the things we can do here at Wowza with our professional services group. And we are more than happy to get on a call with you for 30 minutes and talk about your business, talk about what you're trying to do, and really work with you to come up with a solution.
And that being said, we're going to open it up to Q&A. Clinton, you already asked what's the process of engagement? How do we initialize an engagement? I think this answers it right here.
Yeah, so we are moving towards a couple of things, and that is including being able to just throw professional services into your cart. Ultimately, choose one of the prepaid packages if you want, or just indicate an interest. Not quite there yet, but for now, please go to the website, go fill out the form, or give us a call.
And again, as we're answering questions, please do put your questions into the Q&A window. That's where we're going to be answering them from. Brian Zimmerman's asking, do you have a Clearcaster software that could be used on a mobile Windows laptop that would accept a USB to HDMI adapter?
All I can say there is stay tuned. So currently Clearcaster is only offered as an appliance. It is definitely on our roadmap to evaluate and look at other deployment options for the Clearcaster. So I'd love to hear more about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And I'd be happy to talk to you about, how we might be able to take advantage of that in the near term.
As well, if you have a use case you want to just ask us about right now, please feel free to type it into the Q&A window. Marcin asks, could I receive an audio transcript of this stream? I'm not sure that we have audio transcripts. Certainly, this is being recorded, and we will make it available. Usually we post it about a week later in our blog if you want to check for that. We also do send out an email to those who participated to give them a link to watch it later. So if we have a audio transcript option, I'll definitely make sure it gets posted out there for you. Shadrach asks, how do I sign up for training? Do you have an online or in-person training session?
So we do both. We will do remote training facilitated by a trainer. We will also do on-site training for 1 to 10 people. Depending on, we like to tailor that towards what you want. And I'd be curious, I'd be curious to see if you have any interest in what I'll call group training. One of the things we're noodling around is perhaps putting on a quarterly, streaming 101 or more advanced, kind of an open class where we have a bunch of people come to a specific place and do group training that's not necessarily specific to you, but more of a general classroom session. So some of the things we're thinking about, but any kind of training you're after, just give us a call. We'll build a program that fits what you're after.
Thanks. And Dave's asking, can I implement your engine into a Django Python project?
The short answer is probably. I'd need to know a lot more about what you're trying to do with Django and Python. It may be a better fit for you to use cloud. Our cloud product is a managed service that offers, video streaming services as a service through a REST API. So depending on what you're after, we can better tailor the answer to that question.
Yeah, definitely call us and, as we say here, get a 30-minute consultation. Another question coming in. We're working on a CDN and planning to use Wowza as the backend. We did a POC using Wowza and it worked fine, but we need to automate it. Not sure what the question is here.
Yeah, so by backend, I'm assuming you mean for origin transcoding packaging kind of services where you're maybe pushing out to a caching edge server. So
Oh, they are asking how we can help them.
Yeah, so depending on what you're trying to do as far as that automation, we can certainly advise you on things and, whether it may be appropriate to use something like Docker or Kubernetes to manage that. So again, we're happy to talk to you about it. Certainly that's something that we could give you advice on.
Another question we have is, can we integrate with Amazon Elemental?
Sure. So it really depends on what and where. Elemental is a broad array of products. So we do integrate with some of them already, things like Media Tailor for ad insertion and stuff like that. We also have worked with people who are using Elemental encoding and Wowza for packaging and delivery. So yes, there are plenty of places where you can build a meshed pipeline of services. Again, it's really depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Andy would love to know, what's the typical turnaround time from scoping a project to beginning development on it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our process typically is, let's say you sign up for one of these 30-minute consultation calls, and we dig a bit and understand what we're trying to do. We'll typically have, if we don't use that call for it, we'll typically have a follow-up call with the right people and do what we call a scoping engagement, which is like just understanding what the deliverables for this engagement would be, and run through that with you. Once you're happy with that, we create an SOW, and then it gets scheduled. So from scoping to SOW is typically less than a couple of weeks, and then it really depends on the length, the time, and the area of the project, so we can map our internal resources to it to determine. Some, we do a lot of projects that are a combination of I'll call offline work, where we're out maybe building modules or doing some code, and then online work where we're working with the customer directly to maybe install and configure and train that. So the types of engagements vary a bit, but typically you're going to go from scoping to beginning development. I'm going to say 2 to 4 weeks, but it really depends on what we've got going on internally and really the breadth of the project you're looking at.
Andy, hope that helps you out. Eddie's asking, is SCTE 35 and SSAI an area that we can help in?
Indeed, we've actually done that recently for 2 or 3 people. So particularly with, we'll take this, we'll make sure that the SCTE markers are processed properly. We'll make sure that the outbound HLS stream looks like it's supposed to. And we can then offer assistance with where to go from there.
So Eddie, I guess we should definitely talk. Edwali is asking, how can I connect my laptop to a camera and transmit the video to another laptop in another location? I think that's more basic.
That might be a little specific, but I can certainly think of ways. WebRTC is the short answer. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Sounds good to me. I definitely check out WebRTC. Clinton wants to know what's our general cost for the training classes, and he'd be happy if we did those general kind of training classes that you had just recommended.
Okay. We don't have a price for the general classes yet. We're looking at that. It'd be interesting to get your feedback as far as what's that worth. In-person, on-site training for groups typically runs in the $5,000 a day range.
Thanks. And Isabella's asking, we're currently using Wowza for streaming, but we're looking for a adaptive streaming solution with live server recording, and then to be able to I'm not sure what she means straight after. Oh, I think she means automatically have it available as a recording for on demand in ABR.
So yes, that's possible. Get a hold of us and we can tell you more. It's actually possible in both engine and will soon be possible in cloud. So we can give you more information on that.
Marcine would like to know, can we implement Amazon automatic language translation services with Wowza audio stream?
Ooh, I don't know, Andrew, can they?
You can. It would take some integration. Certainly we have available within the streaming engine transcoder, the raw audio that you could send to any service, Amazon Automatic Language being one of them. So yes, it's possible.
Awesome. And that being said, Isabella wanted to know if we do like the consultation calls, can multiple people join from different locations as part of that training?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just a Zoom call, so you can have as many people on it as you want. So yeah, no problem.
We got two more questions here, guys. One is Brian has a little more detailed specifics here. Brian says, we're currently working with Wirecast H.264 codec along with AJA USB/HDMI adapter as a mobile option to broadcast live events from our lawyer/medical continuing learning education viewers. We're working with Wowza Streaming in the back end and love it, but they're interested in moving over to a Clearcaster software option. So I guess Brian's basically saying he loves that Clearcaster software that you mentioned.
So in this case, you'd be looking to replace Wirecast with Clearcaster software, it sounds like. So be happy to talk to you about that more and even get you, potentially we'd love to hear that input for the Clearcaster product team. So I'd be happy to, if you want to go to the website and fill out the form for consultation, I'd be happy to talk to you about that, because the more input we get there from folks looking to leverage Clearcaster software, the more likely it is to happen. So happy to follow up on that.
All right, and our last question is from Harvey, who says, is there any Wowza roadmap to offer peer-to-peer support of HLS delivery for stream replication behind a corporate firewall like StreamRoot or Peer5?
Yeah, the roadmap item is to use StreamRoot or Peer5. So we don't do that ourselves. That's not our wheelhouse. We partner with both of those companies extensively. We have a lot of success stories with both those companies who've successfully done that. Certainly Peer5 did a large event with HP last fall, went great. So we're happy to work with you and Peer5 or StreamRoot to do those integrations, but it's not on a roadmap to do that ourselves.
All right. Well, hey, everyone, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and joining us to this webinar. Again, if you do want to get a 30-minute consultation, please just call us at 720-279-8163. Barry, thanks for taking the time to actually come here and explain professional service to us, and you as well, Andrew.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everybody on the call. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, have a great day. Take care.